starting a business is that, you do need funding. And I'm always nervous, putting my personal credit on the
Yeah.
line, going and getting an SBA loan, um, things of that nature. So that's why for me, I'd rather not get a loan because I don't want to be responsible for it. I feel I'm on the hook, and I've worked so hard to have decent credit. So, like, where do you stand with that?
I think that's a great question that you have, and I think that's a concern that a lot of great credit profile people have. But what's wild is that most people don't know that you can get 150K plus with business funding at 0% interest based solely on your credit score. And I think that that's something that is extremely important to understand. You don't have to go and give equity to your company. You don't have to put your house up in order to get funds from that. You don't have to use the funds that you've been working all year to acquire out of pocket. None of those things you have to do. You can solely do it by literally taking your personal credit, utilizing it as leverage to business funding, and never affecting your personal credit in any way along the process. I think that's an extremely important part that clients with great credit need to understand. And they also need to understand the difference between secured and unsecured. When you go get an SBA loan, it's generally secured credit, meaning that it is attached to you. And if you do not pay on that, they can come after your own assets. I think that's extremely important to understand. When you're doing business credit cards, it's different. They cannot come after anything personal on you in a worst case of you defaulting. Not that we want our clients to default. That's why we always tell our clients put at least 12 months aside. But in a worst case scenario, you are not in a space where you're going to be held liable based off of your assets that you own for not paying on that. And I think that that's extremely important to know. And not only that part of it, but you're also in a space now where you're building relationships with those banks. So now as you're paying on time with these payments, you're establishing a sense of trust. You're establishing a sense of reliability for the banks. So they're going to be more open and more motivated to lend you more money down the line in the future. So not only are you getting something at 0% interest that's not affecting you personally, not only are you not on the hook where if there's a worst case scenario, something defaulting, you're responsible for, but you're also of it all, you're also able to put yourself in a position where you're able to build relationships with banks that's going to allow you to continue to scale and grow your business. And I think that's an extremely valuable tool that any business owner needs to not only understand, but needs to take action in when it comes to moving forward and scaling and growing their business.
So what are the steps, to this? Like, you mentioned earlier something about rounds.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so, say somebody wants to get started now, what's that process look like?
Yeah, well, generally it takes about 7 to 10 days, business days, for you to be funded through our process. What that process would look like is we would ask you to provide a current credit report or your login to ideally at Experian.com or something of that nature. Once you provide that to us, we would give you feedback within 24 hours of exactly what you would qualify for. We would have our underwriter would go in, underwrite the file, see what you qualify for. Once we tell that to you, you let us know if you would like to move forward or not. We'll send out if you do choose to, we'll send you the application and agreement. Once that is filled out and sent back, we set up what's called an onboarding call. With that call, you get on with our underwriter and our account manager, and they go over the details of our process. Once they go over the details of our process, you are now able to kind of get an understanding of what that process looks like. And once we're in a space that you agree upon those terms of what we're doing, we then go and we pursue the first round of funding. And as I stated, that process generally takes about 7 to 10 business days for us to complete that. Once you have those funds in your possession, we would then go to remove those inquiries. So after we remove those inquiries, we would go right back in for a second round of funding for you. And that time period for the second round will be another 7 to 10 business days that you can expect. As far as the inquiry removal, we have 2 phases of that. We have what's called a 30-day inquiry removal process, and we have an expedited 48 to 72 hour inquiry removal process. So just depending on the option and the urgency behind you, we will be able to get that done and send you in for the next round.